Hello, everyone. Thank you for all joining today. I'd like to start out by saying thank you to Avolution for the opportunity to share our EA journey with everyone. For today's presentation, I will share a little bit of Bantrab's history and also the reasons that led to the EA implementation in our organization. We will review the milestones of the EA implementation project. I'll share what the EA practice looks today after a little bit more than a year and a half of evolution. I will share some of the main lessons we have learned during this journey with hopes that this information will help you to overcome the different challenges an EA practice could encounter in its development journey. And at the end, we will have a little time for Q&A, which will be led by Cami. So before we get into the details of the presentation and Bantrab's case, for any of you who haven't had the opportunity to visit Guatemala, I would like to share that Guatemala is a very small country located in Central America. By 2022, there were about 17 million Guatemalans. Our country is blessed with very diverse ecosystems and climates. We have very warm places in the north and in the south, and also some cold areas in the center of the country. We have access to both Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and we produce great coffee, very great coffee, and very recognized rum, Zacapa or Zacapa Centenario. Now, moving to the presentation, I would like to share a bit about Bantrab and why we started and developed the EA practice. When Bantrab was established in Guatemala in 1966, we operate in Guatemala and also have operations in Guatemalan consulates in the US, in which we support Guatemalans living abroad. By 2024, we are the 6th bank in the Guatemalan market, ranked by volume of assets. When ranked by personal loans market share, we are number 1. We have more than 4,000 employees, more than 130 agencies located in the different regions of Guatemala. And also, we have more than 1,000 banking agents, which are operating in local stores, pharmacies, and others. Regarding digital channels, we have 3 main ones. We have a mobile app, we have an e-wallet called YOLO, and we have an online banking site, which is accessed by our clients regularly. So, why implement an EA practice at Bantrab? Well, it all started with a couple of consulting assessments developed some years ago, in which one of the recommendations, was to implement an EA practice. Why? Because these consultancy firms identified a gap between the IT practices and its governance, the IT governance, and their organizational strategy and objectives. Based on those assessments, our CEO and the board of directors decided that an EA practice should be implemented in our organization, so IT-related decisions can be made based on design and in updated information and actual information. Since the beginning of our journey, we defined that our EA practice should function as a bridge to align and translate business to IT and IT to business, so their organizational goals can be achieved and the projects and initiatives can be addressed in a holistic and integral way. Now, I would like to share how we address the EA implementation process, which we completed via a project. This project had three main stages. The first one was explore, the second one definition, and the third one operation. I will now explain what each of these phases consists of. The first stage of the implementation project was explore. This initial phase had three main objectives. The first one was to communicate the project objectives and scope to the key stakeholders in the organization, who were represented by all the C-level leaders and their direct reports. We needed them to understand the way the project was going to be developed and why, also why we are engaging in the EA implementation endeavor. Through this focused communication, we looked to ease the organizational change process and open the doors to the third of the objectives that I will describe next. We develop an ACES assessment in order to gain visibility about how mature were our organizational practices in the four layers in which we divided our EA practice. They were business, which included strategy, goals, organizational structure, skills, risk, and processes. The second one was data. The third one was systems or applications, and the fourth one was technology. This first stage was completed in 3 months, from November 2022 to February 2023. It is important to mention that we organized the first EA core team in this stage, which was composed of 6 specialists assigned to each of the 4 layers of our EA practice. During this stage, we defined that our EA framework was going to be based on TOGAF. During this initial stage in the project, we established some key ongoing practices which we maintain over time. One of them is investigation. The second one, benchmark. We regularly look for updates in reference frameworks. We started also formal or academic studies regarding EA practice. And we look for to participate in groups and forums for the practice. All these actions were and are continuously performed to learn best practices, approaches, and strategies that have worked in other organizations, so we can calibrate our EA practice and generate as much value as possible. The second stage in the EA practice implementation project was definition. And we developed this one in about 4 months from March 2023 to June 2023. And during this second stage, we focused our efforts in activities related to establishing the EA governance framework. This framework had 2 key elements. The first one was the foundation of the EA Center of Excellence, which is a team composed by C-level leaders representing practices such as IT, software development, risks, CISO, human resources, organizational strategy, data, and of course, enterprise architecture. The second one was defining our EA principles, which are grouped in the 4 EA practice elements or layers, and they describe how we wanted to perform in each of the aspects and areas. These principles were defined by the Center of Excellence, the EA Center of Excellence, and then communicated to the organizational leaders. It's very important to mention that these principles are being used today on a daily basis for different processes, which we which I will mention in a moment. I will move forward. There we go. The third stage of the project was completion or project closing. For this, we communicate the results of the project, replicating the same process we had in the beginning, generating a specific communication for each of the C-level leaders and his or her direct reports. Within this stage, we developed two ADM cycles, two architecture development method cycles, stated by TOGAF, focusing on two of the main organizational products, looking to generate quick results and genuine business impact. This helps us to gain visibility with the organization and facilitate via practice in real situations the understanding of the EA practice in an organizational fashion. Both ADM cycles were developed with the help of many areas, which work together between 4 and 6 weeks, reshaping these two products and the processes supporting them. This third stage of the project generated also some ongoing activities for the EA core team, implementation of the organizational EA management tool, which, by the way, is Abacus. In Abacus, we generate the IT and software organizational inventory, and also we mapped all the relations and dependencies within and between the different IT ABBs or architecture building blocks for the IT and the software layers. All these practices are still ongoing today, and in order to keep our repository up to date. So after this implementation project and the steps we have made so far, what does the EA practice looks like at Bantrab today, or how do it look like? We have implemented a governance schema for the automation solutions. This effort is being held by a multidisciplinary team functioning as a center of excellence, in which all automation initiatives are being reviewed, validated, and authorized. This team is in charge of keeping up to date the automation solutions inventory and align any new automation initiative with the EA principles, the ones I mentioned before, and the cyber security policies. Also, the EA team reviews each purchasing initiative for the organization, aligning it with the EA principles. Again, the principles are used here. And if an initiative does not comply with the EA principles, then it has to go back to the design phase to calibrate the scope, design, or any other aspect of the initiative. We are also involved in the definition and design of the new strategic products and services. This involvement requires that these projects are aligned with the IT approved stack and also comply with the EA principles. At this time, our EA repository is up to date with all of our systems, applications, and infrastructure components. These components, their relations and dependencies are being displayed in different dashboards, which are being consumed by more than 25 different organizational teams to make decisions. And it's very important to mention that these teams are not only from the IT division, but also from administrative and business areas. In these dashboards, this is an example displayed in Abacus. Our teams can identify the different relations and dependencies within the systems, applications, and infrastructure elements. We give visibility to our leadership organizational layer for key initiatives and projects which are focused on develop new skills and abilities in the different teams. In these dashboards, we keep track of timelines, budgeting, milestones, and even the results that these initiatives are providing to the organization. The same happens for the IT strategic projects. We keep track of those regularly to provide visibility to our leaders to make decisions and generate the expected results. And it's also very important to mention that not everything is IT or IT related in our EA practice. We are also engaging and leading the organizational process governance management. And in Abacus, we have our organizational macro processes map, and we are working right now to generate the required detail for each macro process, mapping processes, steps, activities, teams involved, systems involved, databases, offices, and others, to have a holistic view of each of the processes. And for us, this is a very important effort because it is allowing us to clearly align the different layers of the enterprise architecture and their different elements. This brings an never before ability to understand our organization and how it is composed and operating. After this short EA journey I have described in this presentation, I would like to share some ideas and aspects that we consider as keys to success or key success factors. First of all, it is crucial to establish an EA governance as early as possible in your EA journey. For us, this is represented by the EA core team, the EA Center of Excellence, and the EA principals. Be sure to communicate these elements and their role to the organization clearly and regularly so they can prevail over time. Communication is very important. Communication is key, not only during the implementation project of your practice, but also when your practice is operating. It is very important to address the leadership regularly to provide visibility about milestones achieved, what is your plan, and what value your practice is generating to the organization. Since early stages in our practice, we identified as key to document the lessons learned in the way, so that knowledge is not lost. This practice was welcome in our organization and now is part of our EA repository, which is being consulted by the leadership layers regularly to gain knowledge about what we have done, what works, and what does not work for Bantrab. Also, it has been key to be constantly researching and experimenting and learning. The practice can be as holistic and profound or as specific as you need. And your organization's culture is also very important, and getting to know that culture eases many things for the EA practice. It is very important for you and your team to know which approaches work and which ones do not work for your organization. Not everything works for everyone. For example, we learned very early in this journey that massive communication was ineffective and that we needed to address the different teams individually and speak to them in their terms in order to communicate our message, the practices, our objectives, and what we require from them for the EA practice. This approach will allow you to allow your team to identify gaps and areas in which the EA practice can generate value and solve some of the problems that team is facing. Your EA repository, this one is key. Your EA repository can get messy very quickly if it's not managed with the right tools and with the right governance. We started our journey with Excel sheets, PowerPoint, and SharePoint, but noticed very fast that that was not the most effective approach. In our case, we needed a tool that allow us to present graphically, to tell a story, and to log only one time each element in the EA repository. And luckily, we found Abacus after a couple of months of research. It's very important to look for quick wins early in your practice. In our case, generating those two initial ADM cycles helped a lot because they provided the necessary information and organizational involvement to gain traction and sponsorship for our EA practice. And in addition to those key success factors I just shared, I would like to add some final ideas and share some lessons we have learned so far. The first one is there's no one size fits all for the EA practice. It is not practical to expect that to successfully implement an EA practice in the real world. You can go and blindly follow what the TOGAF or SACMAN frameworks states. Again, you should know your organization and shape your practice to address the main opportunities you spot to generate value. So that's the first one. The second one, focus your efforts on initiatives that actually move the needle for your organization, of course. If your EA team is organizationally located within the IT structure, you need to know that you will have to move out of your comfort zone and support non-IT projects and even promote them. The third one I will like to share with you is that you and your team need to become their organizational bridge. Remember the bridge I mentioned earlier? IT needs to speak business. This is what I mean about that bridge. IT needs to speak business. And this is why it's very important to generate and maintain an organizational network of contacts, go out and have lunch with co-workers from other departments. And as a former boss I had, he said, your desk is the most dangerous place to understand your organization. You need to get out and understand in person how your business operates. The fourth lesson learned I would like to share with you is do not settle. Always investigate, challenge your practice and the status quo, propose new ways, different ways of doing things. And remember that the worst ideas are those that you do not share with no one. And the last one is upskill and empower your team. The EA practice is evolving constantly, engage in learning, and even contribute to generate standards and frameworks. It's a great exercise to keep your knowledge and practice up to date so you can respond to your organization's requirements and needs and expectations. And thank you very much for your time today. This concludes my presentation, and I hope that maybe, just maybe, you gained at least one idea on how to evolve your or make your EA practice more robust. Thank you again, Evolution, for the opportunity. And now I will pass it to Cami for any questions from the audience. Thank you again.
Thank you, Pablo. Wonderful as always. I really like your advice of making sure to speak the language of your company. I know EA can be a big and scary concept to people outside of EA and IT teams. So I think that's a great pointer to be sure to speak their language. Such great advice all around. It looks like we have a few questions from our lovely crowd here. So getting started with the first one. From Ricardo. Hi, thank you for the presentation. What was the size of the team, and did you have to follow the entire ADM cycle?
Okay, good question. Thank you, Ricardo. Initially, the team was composed by six elements. We assigned two of those initial team members to the business layer. We know that business layer, when you state it, you just say it's the business layer, but within that, it's a lot of information, and in our case, is big enough to compare it with the all other three layers altogether. Right now, our team is composed by four specialists. We have one for each of the layers, and the important thing is that also since the beginning, we did the same for our organization, and we started communicating that the EA practice should function as a bridge, yeah, but we need the help of everyone in order to construct and develop the practice. So in our daily activities, you can observe that we interact with different people. We have different multidisciplinary teams in order to address different projects and initiatives, and that has been very helpful because you give the organization the chance to get involved with the practice and get to know what is enterprise architecture. And at the end of the road is EA is beyond the ADM or TOGAF or SACMAN. It's based on communication and align teams and align efforts in order to move forward as a whole. Regarding your the second part of your question, we for those initial two ADMs, we perform the initial stages and we defined the migration plan and the future state, the objective state for those two products. And what we are doing right now is the following up of that evolution process, that migration planning, and also managing some new ideas and some changes that need to be addressed and getting included in the evolutionary plan and the process in order to gain results more quickly. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you, Pablo. We've got another question relevant to the ADM cycle from Ashney. I'm a beginner to EA. How would you recommend getting hands-on experience and developing skills across the ADM without necessarily being part of a client project?
Okay. Well, I think that we can divide that answer in two parts. If you need or you want to gain a like formal and structural knowledge, there is reading available on the Open Group website. There are also a couple of modules in Udemy. You can look for those. I do not remember the names, but if if Cami allows me, I can share them with Cami, and maybe she can handle those references to you. But I think that and that's the second part of the answer. The important thing is to practice. I mean, even the TOGA framework states at the beginning, this is not a recipe. You need to adapt it for your organization and the way you want to perform your EA practice. Um, in our case, an initial formal reading and a couple of courses we have regarding TOGAF and how to develop ADMs where that was okay and enough for us. And the next step was okay, let's start with this. The first one, as a matter of fact, took a little bit more time than the second. In the second, we already knew what works and what does not, and that allow us to perform in a more efficient way. But don't be afraid. Experience and maybe try like a little proof of concept and focus on one small process or maybe one small product. Engage with other areas. You definitely will need to engage with different areas. I remembered that for the first of those ADMs, we had a table composed by 18 teams, 18 different teams. But it's very important to communicate before you start the ADM why we are looking to perform that cycle. What are the goals and what we are going to get out of the effort as an organization, and communicate those facts to the different leaders of the different teams that you require, and also map which teams should be involved in the efforts in the effort since the beginning, so you can address the leaders and ask them to help you and select the adequate talent in order to conform that team. Also, it's very important to land that everyone has a lot to do. So address those teams and those team members for the ADM cycle only the required amount of time, and be very disciplined in maintaining those times as short as possible, so they can hop in and provide information or the insights that you need, and hop off and then move forward with the next step. I don't know if that's a helpful information.
Thank you, Pablo. You mentioned like some open group readings. One of the questions from Michael is about what specific TOGAF certifications do you recommend a team of new EA professionals should consider?
Well, at the beginning, well, we started this journey with a small team, as I mentioned. We started with some initial courses. The only one who had a certification from TOGAF in the early stages was myself. And during this journey, we encourage the team to gain knowledge and to prepare for the foundation certification. I think that the foundation certification, remember that the TOGAF has two different levels of certification, the foundation and the TOGAF certification. The first one describes you how does the TOGAF framework is composed, how it works, and how an ADM cycle should be addressed. So I think that for an initial stage in your journey, You should look for that one, the foundational. The second one is a more like advanced level certification. In the first one, you have a set of questions with multiple choices, and in the second one is the test, the exam is composed by 8 different business cases, and you also have different options in order to answer those cases. But um, you definitely need to know how the TOGAF framework is composed, and you definitely need to have a little experience in order to process those business cases and provide a positive answer. Um, I think that the first one, the foundation, it's okay, and you will gain a lot of knowledge and visibility of how TOGAF is constructed, and you can access the framework in a more easy way.
Thank you. Another question we've got a lot, but one of them
Okay.
is in New Zealand, there's a conversation about how businesses are cutting down on EA practitioners due to economic factors. How can EA practitioners demonstrate value compared to solution architects in an economic downturn?
Okay, that's a very good question. And it's good to note that over there, you have a lot of practitioners, of EA practitioners inside, on site, I mean. Well, I think that one of the keys for success in our practice is that we maintain a constant pace of communication with leadership. Um, we permanently look to know how are we doing as an organization regarding our strategic goals, and we constantly are looking to identify gaps and opportunities in the different areas, so we can move forward and approach the commercial area, the IT area, or any other, in order to provide information or even a framework-based solution or a framework-based approach in order to address those gaps and opportunities. It has been a very enriching process to develop those ADM cycles. Um, and as you know, you can perform those cycles in different levels of depth. You can go forward and perform an ADM cycle very profound and precise. That will take you a lot of time and a lot of effort. Or you can focus your efforts in the actual pain and move forward and complete the different stages until you get maybe a plan of how to move from your initial state to the objective, and also attach to those future status um, um, information. I mean, data. How are you going to measure the new scenario and compare it with your actual scenario? Always look to provide value, to generate value as quick as possible, and to focus in what your organization is needing. And again, if you are located within the IT structural ecosystem, you need to go out and approach the different organizational areas. That may be look as weird at the beginning, but go on and sit and talk with the finance guys, and also maybe with the commercial guys and with the marketing guys, everyone has issues, everyone has opportunities to address, and definitely the EA practice is a very good way to address those. I don't know if that helps in any way.
Thank you, Pablo. Can you speak to some pushback you may have received from other teams, other business or IT teams?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can. Um, at the beginning of the project, we we developed the implementation project with the help of a consultancy firm, and and what happened is that we we didn't communicate it to that consultancy firm how Bantrab works and how Bantrab understands things and communicate things. So one of the of the deliverables in that first um, in the first stage of our implementation project was an assessment. They developed an assessment for each one of the four layers in our EA practice, and the idea was to move forward and present the results for the assessment. They presented the assessment in the way they thought it was the best way to communicate the results. And definitely it wasn't the most appealing way to provide that feedback or that information. And that I remember that session generated a lot of resistance from the organization. That's the point in which we identified that definitely massive communication wasn't the approach. We needed to address each leader and talk to finance in finance terms, to marketing in marketing terms, to IT in IT terms, in order to process the information in the right way. That will be an example.
Thank you. How did you determine what data was entered directly into Abacus and what was integrated from other systems?
Okay, so far there's no integration. We are looking forward to integrate Abacus with our ADM. The thing is that project is moving forward, but it's not completed yet. So there's no integration. All the information right now is updated to Abacus manually. There's a process we establish with the different teams that provide the information. We defined the templates and how often we are going to get information from them in order to update the Abacus repository, and that's how Abacus is being updated so far. We are looking for integration, but it's not yet for us. When did we identify that we needed a tool, an organizational tool to manage our EA practice? Well, it was very early. We started, as I mentioned, with Excel's, Words, PowerPoint, and SharePoint. Afterwards, we moved forward and implemented Enterprise Architect from Sparks, and that helped us because it was a central and unified repository, but it was very difficult to manage and to interact with. So at that point, we definitely decided that we needed another kind of tooling, and we started to look in the market for professional and organizational level tools, and then we found Abacus.
Thank you. Yeah, I know obviously Abacus has a lot of options for integrations, but I also know that Bantrab has gotten very far in their very little time with Abacus already. So I just want to applaud you for that, and I'm sure you'll get to it.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. Everyone is helping, but it requires a lot of effort.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, Carl asked about the relationship between the EA program and leadership. I know you mentioned like open communication was very important. He also asked, explain a little bit about how the EA program responds to governance requests for models or architectural analysis.
Okay. Well, in banks for Guatemala, there are two different governance layers. We have the country one, which is represented by the Superintendencia de Bancos. That's the banking or finance regulatory body in Guatemala. And we also have our internal governance, which is held by corporate governance. As a matter of fact, we have used Abacus and definitely the EA practice to address both regarding the national level, the Superintendencia de Bancos level. We are using Abacus to present them how our organizational process governance is working and doing so far. That happens regularly with them. And in the internal governance layer, what the practice and also helping the practice is Abacus. But what the practice is doing is to actually, in some cases, lead those governance initiatives to generate alignment and new processes and even new policies. As a matter of fact, we are leading the process governance center of excellency. That team is composed by different representatives on different organizational areas. There is a representative from IT, yes, but there is a representative from CISO, from risks, audit, internal affairs, and so. And also, we are the promoters and the coordinators of the internal automation governance. I mean, all the initiatives that require some sort of automation needs to address a center of excellency established for that end. And that team is the one in charge of analyzing that initiative in order to say it's okay and move forward on. You need to go back and check for this cybersec issue, or this thing that you are looking to do, it's already addressed and solved with this other tool, and you can go and talk to these guys, and they will definitely help you to address your need. So there are many fronts in which we are addressing governance for our organization, and I think that has helped us a lot because many teams and many areas are referencing to enterprise architecture in order to be aligned with the principles and be aligned with the strategical objectives and maybe using Abacus, getting to know the different impacts and dependencies a project or an initiative should address in order to move forward and have a healthy and good path of evolution. I don't know if that answers.
Thanks, Pablo. We've got three more. We'll see if we can get through at least some of them before the end here.
Okay. Okay.
You're doing great. This is like straight up interview integration or interrogation style. Um, so
Thank you, Karen.
April wanted to know, why did you select the TOGAF framework over other frameworks?
Okay. Well, we selected TOGAF with an intention. I'm sorry. So far, TOGAF is the the framework in which Bayan is inspired or based. Um, our practice is now starting to evolve to Bayan. We are looking to adopt the Bayan standard for Bantrab. So, based in the fact that Bayan was developed based on TOGAF, we wanted to address TOGAF and understand TOGAF first, and afterwards move forward and engage with Bayan. So that's why. And this one was a short answer, but that's the fact.
That's all good because we've still got a lot of questions.
Okay.
How does the EA practice change the software development process? Does it need more approvals, more deliveries, more diagrams?
Well, it has been shaping that process. But remember, our one of our statements is that we need to develop the EA practice together with the different areas. So there's a center of excellency related to internal IT processes, and that center of excellency is now being connected with another one which is in charge of managing the different requirements and prioritizing those requirements from the different areas. In both fronts, we are very early in our process. Regarding software development, what the EA practice and the EA core team is doing is that we are helping the EA team in order to land and establish um, um, how does a deliverable will look like if we are looking to subcontract that deliverable. So we help our teammates in the software development team to address that initiative in a holistic way. I mean, um, putting the ingredients in the initiative related to risk, cybersecurity, integration, maybe purchasing process, legal aspects, so they can move forward and have that process completed in a good way. Again, it's a team effort. I mean, we work it together all the time. And related to the actual coding and the coding policies and coding architecture, what we are doing is that based on this engagement with Bayan, we are starting to adopt some of those practices from Bayan in our software development processes. Uh, it's a challenge, and it's a very it will be a journey. We know, because it's a moving from what we are doing now historically to Bayan. It's a mind shifting effort, but we are starting with very small steps and in capsules. If that works, we will look to evolve it. Again, I don't know if that answers the question.